Sup shooters, my name is Logan aka Spiderhands and welcome to SP Reviews, where today we got ourselves a track by an act named JC Croyle, and if we switch over to here, we got ourselves One Giant from Paint, which is an 8-track album that we've got here. So that's cool. We're going to be listening through Paint from start to finish. We'll get this. It's gorgeous, isn't it? I do really quite like the color, like the soft blues and the greens and everything. It's very artistic. I've listened to JC Croyle before on a few occasions, I think we've listened to music from like Sharks, the Sharks King EP and stuff like that. We're going to listen through Paint from start to finish. You're going to hear what we think. Let's go. What do we got? Made the art big. We can do that. But just a little bit, you know? I should note that my understanding of JC Croyle is that drums is a specific strength of his. So it's no wonder that the percussion is on point at the moment. I like this bass thing they've got as well going, you know? Oh, it's funky, isn't it? I mean, like, the bass guitar is rolling with the harmonies, but at the same time it has a life of its own. Nice characterization of those notes. It sounds fresh, I dig it. I like the guitars as well, the harmonies, the chord progressions, they roll along. And there's a similarity in the overall pace and progression of the guitar and bass, so that the bass is a little bit more energetic, but that's okay. Everything fits really well and it's nice and okay. I've just realized I don't need that there, do I? Oh, okay. Sorry, I just skipped that. There's new terms and conditions there for Bandcamp that I wasn't familiar with. I love the ghost notes on those hi-hats though. Those is sensational. That's control there. That is precision. Are those 16th note triplets there? Nice flams as well, dude. Oh, dude, I'm feeling the humanization going on here from an actual drum performance, you know? Because I can hear a lead in there, a lead melody. I'm wondering how they're getting that, because it's got a really smooth attack to it. Are they violining it? Is it another type of synth instrument? Like, how is he getting that tone there? It's kind of dope, eh? I like the overall vibe of it. It is very creative and kind of artsy, a lot like the album cover we got here. Oh, damn, snap, crackle and pop, dude, I dig it. We got tags of jazz, ambient, fusion, instrumental. I am hearing the instrumental, obviously. I'm hearing the ambient. I'm hearing a bit of a fusion here, but it does feel like we're going on a journey, and I dig that. I like that. I don't know where we're going next, though. Oh, some higher harmonies here. Very fuzzy guitar there. Very fuzzy overdrive tone or something there. And that bass going down that octave there just gives it a little bit more body, you know what I mean? Oh, did you hear that little repeater there? It's the little things that really help fill in a space. You don't necessarily need to have everything going on all pistons all the time, but having a complete stop can sometimes be too much, so having that little repeater in there just to keep things tidied along and sort of connected somehow is a smart move. And back to that 16th triplet on the hi-hats. That theme there. I can flow with that for Paint, you know? Those fills, those grooves, I dig it. I like how we're going between the snare and the hi-hat like that to break it up. We're not being too inherently reliant on those toms or anything like that. All those bells. Oh, it floods and floats around like clouds. Cloudy chords. It's fresh, I dig it, man. I like this side of JC Croyle. I like how almost ambivalent it is. I enjoy the chillness of it. I like how he's branding himself differently and he's got the paint here. This is a big move for JC Croyle, but I think it's in the right direction. Dude, that slaps. Because this is the conclusion for my review of One Giant, a track off of Paint by JC Croyle. I dig it, I vibe with it. The track was entertaining from start till finish. You know, if I was to say anything, it would be that we didn't need the vocals in here. Sometimes with instrumental performances, you can sometimes feel like, yo, I need more context for the story. But it almost sounded like you were walking through the gallery full of paintings or something like that, of various textures and styles. And it was nice to have JC Croyle kind of walk us through like that. I think that he's obviously he's very slick with his percussion and the songwriting as well. Just the drums, the guitar and bass, everything flowed rather eloquently here, and I can't really imagine any space for anything else. There was this da 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 and boom boom. There were 2 or 3 main sections here, including that upper chord part where there was maybe some bar chords or something like that upper on that fretboard. It was just such a slick transition between those, and it never, even though we had occasional pauses, they still felt connected as per those repeaters I was talking about there. The structure of it was easy to follow, coherent, and it was entertaining. And we didn't repeat anything too much. We knew when to come away from a riff or a chord progression and step into something else. That comes with time and experience, and I think JC Croyle is an element now where they know exactly what they need and how to keep the listener entertained. Additionally, I think the instrumental performance, because we have a lack of vocals now, I typically go through the vocals in the story. I'm not quite sure the One Giant means, but that's okay. That's something maybe you get from listening through the rest of the album and as a whole, or maybe it was just a concept personal to JC Croyle, and we're kind of envisioning it otherwise, you know. It's open to interpretation, like a lot are, and I think that's inherently clever. You know, while obviously the percussion there was a lot of dexterity, skill on display there again. So especially those hi-hat bits and some of those break fills and stuff like that they're not easy to do. It's not easy to get that confidence in the kit as well. But I think that, you know, some of those bass parts where the octave runs and go to the bump bump, those melodies were cool there. We weren't just sticking with the root notes. And I like that the guitar was relatively simple. Oftentimes you have the guitar being the really crazy widdly thing in the center of attention, but it was almost like there was a sense of chemistry here. It was almost like we realized that the point was to entertain and tell a story, not show how good we are at an instrument. Now, I think that JC Croyle managed to actually do both. We heard the musicianship, but we also just enjoyed the vibe and the atmosphere to it. It was great. The production, the recording, mixing, and mastering was sensational. You know, with the drumming and with the guitar and bass parts, we needed a bit of dynamic range in that post-production, or else it was going to sound flat. We had moments where there were quiet bits going on, some ghost notes, and then we had louder bits. And while there weren't massive changes in enemies aside from where complete energies, while there wasn't massive changes in the energy levels of the track, just due to the mistiness of the guitar harmonies and stuff like that, I nonetheless feel as though there were little waves, just enough for us not to get bored. And ultimately, to kind of guide us from start till finish, we went for that more sort of moderate, peaceful approach to it. I think that it might have messed with the overall kind of motives behind the creation of the track if we suddenly had stoppy-starty parts, really dramatic shifts in that perceived loudness or anything like that. It was good. That also comes down to the smoothness, the limiting, compressing and stuff like that, as well as removing resonant frequencies and EQ and stuff like that. All of it was handled really, really well. You know, you had that raw sort of analog tone to a lot of those instruments there, which I think is necessary in order for the recording to not sound sterilized. It is always a pleasure listening to JC Croyle's work. I believe that this album, Paint, is a fantastic showcase of his abilities in 2022. And I really wish JC Croyle the best of luck in future with his endeavors, you know. It's a triple threat with the guitar, bass, and drums, and the songwriting is solid, and I'm sure that it seems just from the album art alone, again, one more time, that we look like we're having fun with it, and I really hope he continues to have fun with music. He definitely deserves the success. But effectively, that is my review of One Giant, which is off with the Paint album by JC Croyle. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please do go show JC Croyle some love via his various social medias and his Bandcamp page. Stay cool and stay safe, and please also remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as they need the help more than ever with all the crazy stuff going on in the world. And I will catch you in the next review. Spiderhands out.